All right, Rainey, you're it. Bring it home.
So I just have to tell you, when I came to live last year, during when the Buffaloes
CBF
became,
Live 2020. Yes.
2020, I just went because I was just thinking of launching my business. And I thought this is going to be one of those conferences that I go to, and I'm going to get a little bit of information. And of course, they're going to want to sell me a bunch of crap and, whatever. I'll just get what I can. And I'm sitting at a table and I'm finding out that these people have been there multiple years. And I was like, wait a second, this doesn't seem right to me. What, you usually just get it and go, right? And so as I started to talking to everybody, I thought, oh gosh, maybe this is something I really want to get involved with. And I have to tell you, I launched then in June. That was in March. I finally started in June. I just hired my fourth actual person. And I know it's slow and I feel, like I'm not living up to everybody else. But honestly, I would have stopped if I hadn't have joined CBF. I wouldn't even be here. So thank you.
Those and hearts. So what's so phenomenal about that story is she had the courage to launch her business in June, really during the hot spot of the pandemic. And she's still standing. And there are business owners, Rainey, that have been in business 10 years or more that have closed forever, and you're still standing. So kudos to Rainey. We're really proud of what you've achieved, and you should be too. Just compete with yourself, and just every time you look back at how far you've come. So good job. Thank you for sharing, everybody. That was great. Diane? All right. So we have some things to go over today. And, when we do our teaching calls once a month, and then our accountability call will be next time. I want to make sure that when we do our teaching calls, that we're focusing on things that simply help you implement the CBF formula better, more often, improve the way you've implemented it, or implement things you meant to and never did or forgot about, or you implemented a year ago and now you need to tweak it again, like raising prices, like we had the discussion on our last call. And so on our teaching call, I'm not going to just bring you a whole bunch of new stuff, which is the worst thing you can do to somebody who's trying to grow their business or fix their business. I'm going to help you stay focused on what's going to make you successful long-term. And I've been thinking a lot about this. I'm always listening to podcasts and YouTube videos, and I'm always pulling things. I'm like, ooh, that'll be good to share with my momentum group. That'll be good to share with my momentum group. So I have just a whole bunch of things that I really want to share with you that I believe will help you be successful long-term, because succeeding in business, getting bigger and better, right? And bigger is one thing. That's usually about making more money and having more revenue and more sales and more staff. But better, right? That's the difference. A lot of entrepreneurs can get bigger, but they don't get better, meaning they work more hours, they have no life, their stress is like out the wazoo. Okay, they're bigger, but their life isn't better. CBF is about getting bigger and better, because I don't think it's worth it if you don't get better personally, better in your mindset, better in your personal life, better in your freedom, all of those things. So, how do you 10x your results every year, right? So many of you, your very first year in CBF, it was pretty easy to 10x your investment, right? If you spent $6,000 or back when it was that cheap, which was about half of what it should have been, or if you spent $8,000 in our program, or in some cases $9,000 in our program, for a lot of people, if you just followed through, you 10x your investment the first year, right? Your business is doing $90,000 more than it would have if you had just stayed where you were. But how do you keep 10xing year after year? Because what we've seen, and this is why we started Momentum, what we've seen is you go through a program, you reap massive results. You're like, wow, I'm finally out of the field. And wow, I'm finally hitting 400,000 in sales, or 500,000 in sales, or whatever level you were trying to get to. And you get there your first year. And then in years past, we didn't have Momentum. There really wasn't anything else for people to join. They could wait a whole year and come to CBF Live to get re-inspired, but there wasn't anything to join like Momentum or even the Advanced Pros, which many of you will be in next year, right? If you qualify. And so how do you stay in momentum, but still 10X your investment, right? Year after year. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to share with you some things that have helped me 10X my growth as I've taken other courses, worked with other gurus. I go to conferences on how to be a better speaker, how to be a better consultant, how to improve my stage presence, how to package my programs so they're easy for people to digest and follow. So I'm always in training as well, just like you are. Plus I'm training, right? But here's a couple of things that I think that will help you every step of this journey, because the journey shouldn't stop at the end of the year of momentum. You should be on your way to 10Xing your next year, right? Whether it's 10Xing through more money or more time or both. But here's what's helped me. First and foremost, have a beginner's mindset. Be an amazing student. Participate at the highest level you can. Having a beginner's mindset has helped me make so much more money than I would have when I've had the know-it-all mindset. When you accidentally adopt the know-it-all mindset, which kind of happens when your business gets kind of big, right? Most people don't have most people don't have too much of the know-it-all mindset when their business is tiny and broken. But once it gets pretty big, $500,000 and above, it's hard to approach every event, every training call like this one, coaching call, every conference, the retreat. It's hard to approach it with the beginner's mindset. Same thing with the people in the pros group. Their businesses are at $1 million or $2 million or more. And it's hard to approach everything with the beginner's mindset. And I will tell you, that is what has transformed my results in my life and in my business and in the different stages of growth that I have had. So approach everything, every call with a beginner's mindset, and treat the past as raw material that can be transformed into the future, not as a crutch or an excuse for why you don't need to change that or change now. And so treat the past as something that will help you transform your future, but not something to look back on and say, see, I know how to do it, right? I know how to do this on my own. So first and foremost, and then you always have to make your future bigger than your past. So people that are constantly looking at their past, they're not working on their future because they're making excuses for the changes they don't need to make. I already know that. I already done that. I already have that. Right? Instead of looking at their past and going, maybe if I redefine what I want in my future, I need to make some changes. And so you always make your future bigger than your past. The past is there for learning. The future is there for winning. Do not let the past be your crutch. I can't tell you how many larger businesses that I talk to on a strategy session, they should join CBF, but they think, well, I know all that. That's too basic, right? They think that. And the problem is they are focused on the past, and that will not pull them into the future that they want. And they've been trying to have for years, right? If you've been in business for 16 years and you're still at 500,000 or 600,000, and you don't need to make changes, then you're probably going to still be where you are. Versus I've been in business, I had a business owner say in one of not too long ago strategy session, my business is over 500,000. I know all this, right? This is too basic. And it's like, you're not going to get to 1 million if you don't change, right? The things that got to you to 500,000 are why you're still at 500,000, right? And so no matter where you are, approach it with a beginner's mindset instead of an expert's mindset, and you will go faster, you will go further, and you will make transformations at every stage of your progress and of your learning. Always go back to the basics. The basics are where the keys are to success. And there's 4 keys to success. I used to think in terms of 3 keys, even though I saw 4 in my own business. I've always thought in terms of 3 keys. And I heard this recently on a podcast. I was like, that 4th key, I haven't been defining that. So here's 4 keys to success. number one, money freedom, right? That's the obvious one. Everybody joins CBF when they're struggling. Nobody joins it when things are great, right? Everybody joins it when they're struggling. They want money freedom. It's the number one thing an entrepreneur is looking for. But then time freedom. And make no mistake, time costs money, right? Time freedom costs money. You have to buy your freedom. It doesn't come for free, right? So when I wanted to become 100% absentee owner, I had to hire a higher paid person to run my operations. I had to pay that person more. It cost me money to buy my freedom. Or if I didn't have an office manager and I was grinding it out like a maniac and I wanted freedom, I had to pay the money for an operations manager to step in and give me some time freedom, right? So money freedom, time freedom, and then relationship freedom. We talk about this in the CBF modules, that CBF formula, if you follow it, gives you the freedom to fire who you don't want to work with. And that's the thing that was missing in my business in the early days when I was growing fast. I was over 500,000. It was a mess. I hated my business. I was ready to close my doors, and I was pretty close to bankruptcy because I was going backwards. My expenses had ballooned out of control. I wasn't making any money. It was just a mess. And I could have argued, well, look how far I've come on my own, right? But I didn't. I had a beginner's mindset. I'm like, I don't know nothing. I can't get to $1 million to save my soul, and I can't turn a profit. And I have all these employees that I can't stand. They walk all over me. And so I was craving relationship freedom. And when I fixed my business, and the CBF formula should help you do the same, you all of a sudden have relationship freedom. I can fire you if you're walking all over me, walking all over my customers, and mistreating my other employees. I can fire you, whether you're an office manager or a cleaner or an admin member, right? So that's called relationship freedom. So money freedom, time freedom, relationship freedom. And then that fourth one is freedom of purpose. Freedom of purpose. So this is where I get to do what I love, not what I hate. This is where I get to do what I love. I'm about to cough, guys, so I'm going to mute. I hate to cough in people's ears. So purpose freedom is where I get to do what I love. I realized, even though I didn't have a name for it back over 15 years ago, that I did have purpose freedom in my business because it did work. I was following the CBF formula, even though it didn't have a name back then. I had so much time freedom in my business that it allowed me to start cleaning for a reason, right? Something I love, which gave me more purpose. And so purpose freedom is really important in the entrepreneurial journey because it's one of the keys to success, not just money freedom, time freedom, and relation freedom, but purpose freedom is freedom to do what you love. And as you progress through CBF year after year after year, you will find you'll spend less time doing what you hate, because there's always things we kind of hate to do, less time doing what you like, or I'm sorry, dislike, maybe don't hate, but dislike, and more time doing what you love. And there does come a point when you have this certain level of success where 80% of your time is now spent doing what you love. And maybe 20% of your time is spent doing what you kind of have to do, right? Like you have to do employee reviews at the end of the year with your admin team. I always hated that. It's one of the first things I gave up when I became an absentee owner. I'm like, Carla, you're doing them now. And guess what? She hated doing employee reviews annually. So I gave that up, right? Hated them, right? So over the years, I began, when I still worked in the day-to-day operations, I began to only do what I love, right? I hated coming in at 7 a.m. and opening the office. I was able to give that up 25 years ago when I started hiring an admin team. I hated doing certain things like the bookkeeping or processing the payments, all the little menial tasks. I loved doing sales back when I was in the office. So it kind of became the only two jobs I did back when I was daily involved were sales. I love doing those, and marketing. I love doing marketing. And then eventually I gave all of that up and I don't do nothing. So actually that's not true. So time freedom isn't really about just doing nothing. it is about doing what you love. So now I do what I love. I don't sit around all day and, ride around in a boat on a lake, right? I coach, I create programs and courses, and I develop things like the coaching program that we have. So, I get to do what I love. So that's what freedom of purpose is about, is where you get to spend more and more of your time. And some of you, it's, I think it was, who was it that said 100% mop free, right? Once you become mop free, you're no longer doing what you hate. If it got to that point where you're like, I hate cleaning, it's going to drive me crazy. We first started our business, we loved cleaning, but towards the time it was time to make the next cut in our business growth, we hated it because it was really a true obstacle to getting to the next level. So, and I heard a quote recently that I love. Let me share that with you when I find it. But here it is. Our eyes only see and our ears only hear what our brain is looking for. And I thought, you know what? That is so true. Our eyes only see and our ears only hear what our brain is looking for. And so what is your thought process before you come to a training, before you come to a coaching call like this, or before you go to CBF Live, right? Or CBF Retreat? What are you looking for, right? What are you looking for? And it's important to spend some time thinking about what you're looking for before each call. What transformation do I want to make when I'm on that momentum call for the accountability week and the training week? What's the transformation I want to make? Most of us just run from task to task, harried, and oh no, it's almost 4:00. I got to log on, right? We have no time to really think about what do I need? How can I be more intentional about these meetings or the next retreat that's coming up in September so that I can get the most out of it? And I want to challenge you to think about what you want before each event, 15 to 30 minutes before a call like this, and a good 30 minutes before you come to retreat, because it's going to be here before you know it, guys. Heck, it's almost June. It's going to be here before you know it. So use that business snapshot as the tool that makes it easy for you to think about the transformation you're looking for. So everyone should come to these calls with your business snapshot filled out. Everyone. And the reason for that is it's not just a report. It's a flashlight. The business snapshot isn't just a report. Oh, look at this number. Oh, look at that number. No, it's a flashlight to go, ooh, how come that's slipping? Wow, look, that's growing. What are we doing here to make that work better? Right? So it's kind of a flashlight, and it helps you decide where you need some transformations. And that'll help you, besides just spending about 30 minutes thinking it through before retreat, to help you decide, what am I looking for from this next call? What am I looking for at the retreat? Our eyes only see and our ears only hear what our brain is looking for. And as entrepreneurs, our number one responsibility is to tell our brain what to look for. Tell your brain what to look for. Your eyes and ears are out there picking up what you need. And you know what? You might actually get what you needed. Let's say, for example, at CBF Live, which is Rainie's experience, she got what she needed at CBF Live, right? She was looking for it. Now, she was not expecting it to be everything it was, but she was looking for it, and she did find it. And same thing at retreat. You might literally find that one transformation because you knew what you were looking for before you go to retreat. You might get that over drinks at the bar with one of the coaches or another CBF member, right? Teresa Sparoff, she's here in this group. She's an advanced CBF pro. You might be sitting with her at lunch and get one thing she said that's the total game changer. And you're able to say, that just paid for my entire trip, the entire cost of my entire year in momentum and my flight and my hotel, right? So if you know what you're looking for, your eyes and ears will find it if your brain knows what it's looking for. There was a CBF member that told me last year's retreat, they almost didn't come because of the pandemic. We did hold the retreat. It was kind of scary, but we did it. Nobody got sick. Nobody died. I mean, it was amazing, but it was scary to hold it, right? And some people were afraid to come, and I didn't blame them. And some people said, I'm coming anyway because I need this. And I had one CBF member tell me, It was one conversation over cocktails that was a game changer for her. And that conversation led her to realizing I can grind it out a little harder and get to $1 million and then coast. And she said, I think I've been thinking about this backwards. I've been thinking, and she said, I've been approaching my business like, I'm going to do a little here, a little there, but I don't want to limit my quality of lifetime. And she's always on vacation. And I tease her about it all the time. She's always on vacation. And she said, I didn't want to give any of that up, but she said it was one conversation that changed my mind. It was with Paul, one of our advanced pros. And he challenged them and he said, well, what if you just grind it out for another year or two, hit the $1 million and then coast? And they said, game changer, doing it. It was just great. And even if they had gone home after that one conversation, it would have been worth the entire cost of the trip. Now, of course, you're in momentum. You don't pay for the registration. But anyway, so there's 3 stages of progress in our business. There's 3 stages of progress where you are applying those new skills, you're applying those new concepts that you learned in CBF, or you're tweaking things that you were kind of doing, but you weren't quite doing them to where they're getting the results that you can get now, learning how to apply that new information. So there's 3 stages of progress in your business, or 3 units that you go through. And I realized this shows up in more than just even an event or a call like this, but there's the before, the during, and the after. And I want you to think about that. There's the before, the during, and the after. And it does apply to things like even sales, right? There's the before, the during, and the after. So if you're having problems with sales, you can't just say, that's why Art Locke and I will ask a lot of questions when you say, I'm having problems with sales. Well, we got to figure out, is it the problem before the sale, during the sale, or after the sale, right? And so this applies to even hiring an office manager. What you do before, what you do during, what you do after is going to make a big difference. And so in terms of personal development and growing bigger and better and learning how to apply what you've learned in this call or at retreat or at CBF Live next year, I want you to always be thinking about the before, the during, and the after, right? So most people hurried to get here. So there wasn't a lot of preparation or mental thought on the before. Some of you did pull your business snapshot and you completed it, and you are in a better frame of mind to benefit from today. So that's the before. Think about the transformation you want from the experience, whether it's the call or the event or whatever. And then there's the during, right? The during is be present. Approach any event or call with a beginner's mindset, not an expert's mindset. Oh, I've already heard this about mindset. Oh, I've already done that. Oh, I know I need to raise my prices. Knowing is not the same as doing, right? And being here helps you do it, or it helps you reinforce it, or it helps you fix it. And so that's the during, be present, approach with a beginner's mindset. And then there's the after the call. What 1 or 2 things am I going to do this week or next week? Setting goals, defining your next best move based on what you heard last time. Some people are really good at the before. They come, they're excited, they're enthusiastic, they're prepared, but they're not great at the after. The follow through just falls away. And some people are great at the after when they show up, but they allow too many crises to interrupt this time, or the last minute crises. And, oh no, I can't come to retreat now. So-and-so quit and I got to fill in, right? So some of us are not good at the before, but boy, we would have been great if we had shown up, because we would have followed through, right? Rainey did a great job hitting the ground running after that CBF Live she attended in 2020. Despite the pandemic, she had a good after, right? She followed through. She launched her company when probably a lot of people might have even given her advice to wait till things settle down. So she did a great job with the after. She did a great job with the before. She showed up, right? So Art, how am I doing? What can you add to this? You always have great wisdom.
Yeah, this is such a great topic. I love it, because we spent a lot of time talking about mindset. Earlier this year, we talked about victim. I'm a Brian Tracy, trained and certified person. So I quite often think about some things Brian Tracy would say if he were here. And for example, just the topic about mindset specifically, we become what we think about most of the time. That's a Brian Tracyism, right? We become what we think about most of the time. So, if you think it, you can become it. But if you don't think it, you're not going to become it, right? So mindset's really important. He also has something he calls the Law of Correspondence, which is, in essence, your outer world reflects your inner world. So whatever you think of the world, and this is to your earlier point, Debbie, you will find examples outside that validate what you think about the world. Whatever it is you think, you'll find examples that convince you you're right. So if you want a better life, work on your inner world, right? And then you'll look for different things. So I think all those things really align. Zig Ziglar has this great quote. Let me see if I can find it real quickly, because I think it's really illustrative. He said, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. I think that's just an awesome quote that, is so in line with the topic today.
I love that quote, Art. I'm going to print that out somewhere and stick it on my wall, because that is so profound. And thank you so much for sharing that. There are people in this group in Momentum that could have joined Advanced Tier, but they knew they needed to get back on track, right? There are people that qualify for it, but they just needed to get back in and start over with the beginner's mindset, right? A lot of people maybe joined Momentum after they'd been gone for a few years, took other courses, kind of got sidetracked, started following a different model, and all of a sudden things aren't working like they were. And they come back through, they join Momentum. And even though they have a big business, they've approached it with a beginner's mindset. And there are people in here that are at the beginning of their journey. They just started their business, or they just became mop free. So it's not about, being advanced or not. It is about approaching everything with a beginner's mindset and getting the most out of it. So thank you so much for that, Art. I absolutely love that quote. So whatever the eyes and the ears are looking for, the brain will find it. And I thought about our call from last Momentum. And if you guys weren't on it, I'm telling you, you missed the one call that could have paid for the entire year. So, when you have a consumer's mindset versus a transformational mindset, you guys have heard us talk a lot about the victor-victim mindset, right? Art has a really good PowerPoint presentation that he shared with us and all of our coaches around the victor and the victim mindset. It's so powerful. You guys have heard me talk in the modules around the poverty mindset versus the wealth mindset. It's all kind of the same, but sometimes presented in different ways. It makes more sense for people where they are. And so another way of saying that is the consumer mindset versus the transformer mindset. So with the consumer mindset, it's kind of the mindset that says the world is supposed to do it for me, right? And probably Rainey would admit when she came to CBF Live, because she has been burned in the past, where you go to a conference, it's nothing but a pitch fest. You really don't get great content. You get pitched and pitched and pitched. And why would you ever go back to that? Maybe you buy a lot of those real estate conferences don't actually teach you how to flip houses. It convinces you to buy their house flipping toolkit for $15,000, right? And so she probably approached CBF Live with a consumer mindset, but because that's not her permanent fixed mindset, it quickly became a transformer mindset when she realized, and I hate to keep using you, Rainey. I hope you don't mind me using an example, but what you said was so profound and so common, where people go to something not knowing who it is and what they're about to experience, and they get a pretty bad experience. But, that consumer mindset says the world is supposed to do it for you. You need to impress me. And when you have that consumer mindset, so that you can approach these calls, you can approach CBF Retreat or anything that we put on that you've paid for, you can approach it with a consumer mindset and not even realize it. And when you have a consumer mindset, you retain the right to criticize, complain, and blame. Right? You retain the right to criticize, complain, and blame. You retain the right to think things like, oh, this program is too basic. I already know everything. Oh, this program isn't modern enough, right? That's kind of that criticizing. I already know this, right? Imagine if the people that came on the call last month, if you guys were on the call last month where we talked specifically about raising your prices in a booming economy and raising the job offer pay, right? We talked specifically about improve your job offer and raise your customer prices. And so many people said to me after last time's call, so 2 weeks ago, said, oh my gosh, that one call was a game changer. I'm raising my prices, and I was advertising cleaners pay of $500 to $600. And now I've updated my Indeed ad, and now I'm advertising $700 to $800. I'm getting better people in, and I can afford that because I've raised my prices. I was quoting $45 an hour, and now I'm quoting $50 and $55 an hour. And that a lot of that feedback came from last time's call in both the pros and the momentum group. I covered the same material in the pros last time because even the pros get stuck, right? You get stuck. My own cleaning company hadn't raised prices in almost 18 months because we suspended rate increases for legacy clients during the pandemic. So that means our prices are already outdated. So we've begun the price increase process. We've hired, we're outsourcing somebody to come in and help us. But so many people commented that last time's call was a game changer. And so I put a little number to it. So if you were on the call last time, just type in if you felt like that was a game changer for you, that you needed to hear that. And it was nothing new. I teach that exact principle in the modules. And many of you raised your prices and improved your job offer your first few months in CBF. Yet here it's maybe a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. For some of you, you weren't continuing to do that. So it's not like I told you something new. I just reminded. It's that rinse and repeat. Reminded what we already teach. I was going to look to see. Yep, game changer. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I missed last time and I haven't listened on the replay, that's a teaser. Go back and listen to it. It's going to be transformational. So I did the math because I really do have this mindset that every dime you pay to be a member of CBF, including when you first joined, that your membership should equal free when you calculate the return. That's my belief. In fact, it shouldn't just break even and equal free. It should 10x. That's what I believe. And that's how my mindset is when I go to a conference. I've been to conferences where I'm sitting at a table, collaboration conferences of a whole bunch of speakers and consultants, right? I'm sitting at a table and 2 or 3 of them are complaining about, I already know this stuff. This is so basic. I've already heard this, right? And I've heard it all too, but my business is 10 times bigger than theirs. But I came with a beginner's mindset. I'm taking notes like a maniac. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I could improve this. Yes, I knew it, but I'm not doing it as good as they just described, right? Or they're sitting there at the table and they're complaining because they have a consumer's mindset that they paid too much for this event. And I'm thinking, I'm going to go back and 10x what it cost me to be here. I'm going to 10x it in 1 year, right? So here's what I kind of broke down from last time's call. For those who missed it, this is what you missed out on. And I believe that this experience in CBF year after year, not 1 year, CBF shouldn't be 1 year. And I never understood that years ago. I didn't have momentum. I didn't have advanced. We will never not have a continual program because I saw people kind of plateau at 1 million before I had level 2 and level 3. And now that we have this continual CBF for life, basically people join CBF now, they join momentum. They're like, I'm in for life until I sell my business or die. I'm a CBF member. Right. So I think that you should be able to 10x your results all the time. And so one call last time, imagine as a result of last time's one call, you hung up the phone and you were able to hire 2 people because of the way you implemented the advice from last time, right? You were like, man, I'm still advertising make $500 to $600. Well, shoot, the stimulus check's bigger than that. No wonder nobody shows up for the interview. And you tweaked your ad and you refreshed your Indeed and you were advertising $700 to $800 and you raised your prices. All the business you were turning away. I kept talking to people, including the advanced members that were saying, yeah, I got a 2-week waiting list. I'm like, stop it. Stop it. You shouldn't have a 2-week waiting list. You should be raising your prices. And the people who say yes, find a way to get them in. And so it's just a little mindset shift. So imagine you hired 2 people because you raised your pay and you raised your prices and it didn't cost you anymore, right? Those 2 people, if you're using the CBF formula, bring in about $110,000 to your business. Those 2 people that wouldn't have shown up because your offer was still kind of outdated, crappy. That's $100,000 to your business. Hello, CBF Momentum for 1 year costs $4,188, $4,100. Right? You more than 10x your investment with one phone call, right? So instead of thinking, gee, last time's phone call was good with Debbie, but this time's phone call was great. And then last time's wasn't that great. All it takes is one phone call and you paid for your entire year. And that's the way I approach everything. Every conference I go to, all it took was one thing. And I'm like, dang, that was worth the whole $12,000 I spent. When I go to conferences, my conferences, usually the gurus that I follow, they're like $10,000 for 3 days, right? So you talk about wanting to make sure I leave with something that'll make me $100,000. Yeah, I want to leave with something that'll make me $100,000. So, you know, our conferences cost $500 and it's free when you're in Momentum. So last time's call, if you hired 2 people because you tweaked your offer and got people to show up that were not showing up, that's over $100,000 right there, $110,000 to $160,000. Here was another one. Here's another one from just last time's call. So many of you realize, oh, I haven't raised my rates in a while. I need to raise it up by $5 an hour. And some of you $10 an hour, but some of you said, I went for $45 an hour overnight after that call. The next day I started quoting 50 and 55 and people were still saying yes. So imagine if you just raised your rate $5 an hour as a result of last time's one single phone call and you snagged 10 new recurring clients over the next 30 days. And all 10 of them recurring are going to average about $15 more than you would have charged, right? If they're 3-hour houses, you would have gotten about 15 more out of them, right? And so those 10 people are going to average 15 more than you would have asked for before the call. And of course, that's about $30 a month per client more than you were asking for the day before our call last time. Now, those 10 people times 12 months, okay, in 1 month, those 10 people are an extra $300 to your bottom line. And in 12 months, those 10 people, if you lowered your prices the next day, but you just snagged 10 of them in 1 month, of course, who would lower their prices, right? But let's say you only did it once, you snagged 10, that's $3,600 in 1 year with those 10 new clients because you raised your prices, because you were on the call, because you needed a reminder, remind and reinforce. $3,600. Now here's where the magic happens. And that's why I'm always doing math, right? And I do this math when I go to a conference. I literally figure the math of how much more I'm going to make because I'm going to implement this idea. If you did that every month now for the rest of the year, so for 12 months, you snagged 10 new clients, $5 more than you were quoting. That's $43,000 in fees you would not have charged if you were in the grads group following everybody else. Right? Because nobody else is going to tell you this stuff. So $43,000 is what that would result in if you, on average, snag 10 new clients a month. Now, not everybody does. Some people snag more, right? We snag 30 or 40 in a month. I guess I should say when. That's a little more sophisticated. But do you see how that one phone call for somebody whose business is big enough that you continually average 10 new clients a month on your books at $5 an hour more than you were quoting, can you see how the exponential growth happens? You 10x'd your entire year's investment in Momentum because you chose to show up on the call instead of let a crisis keep you from being on the call. So those of you who missed it, go back on the replay. Trust me, you'll 10x your investment with that one phone call. So the consumer's mindset says, yeah, but what have you done for me lately, right? The consumers and the transformers mindset says, boom, that was worth the entire year. Thank you. I just made back my investment 10 times for the entire year. If I don't show up for another call, it was worth every penny I pay for the year. So that's more of the transformers mindset, right? And that's how I approach everything. It's like, boom. I mean, I've paid a lot of money for courses and year-long programs and mentorship. And sometimes it didn't really deliver for the cost. but then I got one or two nuggets and I tripled or quadrupled my investment. I'm like, I'm good. There's no reason for me to complain. That one thing this guru just said made my entire investment worth it. And so that's kind of the difference between the consumer's mindset and the transformational mindset. When you have the consumer mindset, you're always retaining the right to criticize, complain, and blame. That's that mindset that it's always pulling at us. So it's not like we overcome it permanently. When you first joined CBF, a lot of your mindsets did shift, but it still creeps back in all of us at every level and every stage in our business. So the blaming mindset is it's the government, right? It's the stimulus check. It's that darned low unemployment. You can't find anybody that needs a job. It's the stock market, which that was for me 15 years ago. It's the stock market. It's the election. It's the slow economy. It's the booming economy. It's the pandemic. It's all the cheap competitors. Blame, 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 blame. That's the consumer's mindset. And so I want to help you shift your thinking, and I'm not going to go into it too deep, but I want to help you continually shift your mindset, because this will help you with your staff. It will help you figure out who on your staff has a consumer's mindset, and they're the ones that, what have you done for me lately, right? The bonus is never big enough. The paycheck is never big enough. Your generosity is never enough, right? There's the consumer mindset and the transformer mindset that mines the gold at every stage. And so the transformational mindset, where you can literally 10x your business at every stage, or I don't know that's necessarily going to be every year, but you can 10x your business continually.
Talk to someone else.
Whoops, let's mute all. The transformer mindset is where you contribute, you collaborate, and you create. That's where when you're operating in the transformational mindset, you maintain these three other mindsets where you're contributing. You're not just taking. Teach me, give me, feed me, fix my business, do it for me. You kind of move from that to where you're contributing, you're participating, you're helping others. When you go into the collaboration groups, you're offering tips, you're not holding back. When you're on Facebook, you see somebody struggling with something you've mastered, you go in and you help them. Okay, that actually helps transform you to the next level in your business. One of the things I noticed, Steve Perry got really inspired at CBF Live, and he has been contributing at one of the highest levels I've ever seen him contribute at, going proactively looking for donations for Cleaning for a Reason and reaching his personal goals and exceeding them. He exceeded his personal goal for fundraising at Cleaning for a Reason. He's giving, he's contributing. Right? That will make him a better leader. And I bet you he would tell you, you can type in the chat, Steve, if it has actually improved you as a person and as a leader, right? When you begin to contribute and give, you actually get better as a leader. It's the craziest thing. You transform almost every part of your life. And then collaboration. This is where we get better and better at community, right? I know I wouldn't have achieved the things that my business has achieved since I became an absentee owner if I weren't in CBF. Because I'm in CBF just like you. I still own a cleaning company. I just get the benefit of all the worlds, right? I get to be in Momentum and I get to be in the advanced group. But I know my business would not be at a $2 million run rate today if I weren't in CBF. So it's the collaboration that keeps me moving forward. You don't hear me complain, I don't have time, I don't have time. What you hear me say is, man, I can't believe how much gold I've been able to mine from this community to apply at my own business. And then create. Part of transformation is you get to spend more time creating the things that you want in your company instead of more time doing the things you don't want to do in your company, right? So as Angie became mop free, she has more time to create things like a sales process or her handbook or whatever she's doing that you just don't have time when you're cleaning all day. And so I'm not going to speak too much on that, but I'm going to kind of wrap it up with saying, at my age, I'm not trying to get anywhere. Really, I'm not. But I want to contribute, I want to collaborate, and I want to create. That is so fun. Contribute, collaborate, meaning I want to be in a community. I don't ever want to do business alone again. I did that for many, many years. Even when I hit my $1 million mark, I was alone. That is not fun. And it's also less productive because there are a lot of things I didn't solve that I could have had I had a community to keep me on track and to keep me focused and to keep me moving forward. You know, I was stuck at $1 million, which seems like a great accomplishment, which I thought was because I was very past focused, right? I've achieved $1 million. I was very past focused. I wasn't future focused. I was stuck at $1 million for 20 years, people. I thought that was great. I was content because I was past focused. I had done it. I wasn't future focused that there are things I'm doing that are keeping me from being 2 million. When I became future focused and I was surrounded by a very transformational community, advanced level thinkers like Coach Art Locke and all of our advanced pros, it made me realize that my business could actually go to 1.5 million, 2 million, and not have to step in and run the operations. And so the collaboration made all the difference in the world. And now I also have more, I have more ability to spend my time creating the next thing, or creating better systems or better programs or whatever. So contribute, collaborate, and create replaces criticize, complain, and blame. When you become more of a transformational thinker and less of a consumer thinker, where, you know, hey, impress me with what I just paid for, versus I'm going to go implement and make that turn into gold. Got anything else for us, Art, as we wrap that up?
Well, I think all of us at this level accomplish a lot through other people, right? We have teams of different sizes, but we have teams. And I love what you said about creation, because I think one of the ways you transform our businesses into something better, something we're prouder of, something that works more effortlessly, is by creating capability in other people. One of the ways we help our business grow is by creating independence among the people who work with us, not dependence, right? We create, we help build people's self-esteem and self-confidence so they can do more with less support and guidance from us. And so I always think, when all of us on this call, we're all leaders in our own right, and the way we accelerate our success, the way we hit the 10x and even 20x levels we're after, is to leverage all the resources at our disposal, which for the most part are people, the people who come and work for us every day. And the more we can transform their lives, transform the way they think, the way they act, the more we can help them achieve independence and great capability in their own right, the more they do, and by extension, the more we do as leaders. So that's how we transform not just our businesses, but the lives of those people who we employ, and ultimately the lives of people we serve as well. So if we focus on that as why we are here, why we do what we do, and how do I help everyone around me do more efficiently, better, faster, with more meaning and more self-satisfaction, man, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
Absolutely. Well said. The more time you're able to devote to creating as the entrepreneur, as the owner of the company, the more time you can devote to creating, the bigger your business can become. When I was finally free from so many of the day-to-day tasks that I hated to do, to be honest with you, but they needed to be done. And it's just abdication if they don't get done. But the more I was able to offload and train others and expand my admin team and develop them so that they could handle these tasks adequately, maybe not as good as I did them at the time, but adequately and ultimately better than me, the more time I was able to spend creating and improving processes and just getting better at everything. Instead of becoming the person who closes all the sales, I became the person that coached my sales team, right? So these are just, mindset is one of the biggest hindrances to you getting bigger and better at this stage of your progress, because your first year in CBF was to learn what you didn't know. Oh, I didn't even know about pay for performance. I didn't know about not hiring all these part-timers that eventually become my competitor and steal my clients. Oh, I didn't know about controlling costs by putting people on commissions instead of hourly. And, all these things you didn't know, you learned your first year. Now you know. And now this year is about keeping your mindset in the right place so you can implement the things you stopped doing. You can implement the things you didn't fully understand or grasp the first year, or you can implement better the things you kind of rolled out really fast because your business was bleeding. And now it's time to tweak it and roll it out a little more accurately. Done is better than perfect. A lot of people roll it out fast and hard because their business is bleeding so badly. But then in momentum, it's about going back through the modules, watching modules 11 through 16, and picking up some of the things that need another level of transformation. Maybe it's time to hire the office manager, or it's time to raise prices again. It's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. If you have a transformer's mindset, you approach even the modules with a beginner's mindset. You approach these calls with a beginner's mindset. If you're thinking today, I already know all this, I get it, I know mindset, you missed it. Because you could be teaching this to your staff. You could be using these concepts to help your office manager that's constantly complaining, criticizing, and blaming, right? Your office manager. So these concepts are for you to personally develop, your inner leadership, but it's also for you to know how to develop the people on your team, from the cleaner to the office manager. And so use these concepts to make not only you better, but your team better as you grow. And you will be shocked at the exponential growth that you can achieve from one phone call, one event, and, 12 months of this momentum of staying in the fold. So I can't wait to see what you guys do on a continuing basis. I find it incredibly exciting to watch people pass up levels that I didn't used to expect people to pass. Why? Because I even had a mindset, even though I've had a growth mindset for a long time, I even had a limiting mindset, right? That most cleaning businesses are going to hit a ceiling of $1 million. That was my mindset. Guess what? That's as far as my business went for 20 years because that was my mindset. I don't have that mindset anymore. And I wouldn't have had this growth mindset if I hadn't have started the advanced pros, right? If all I had was tier 1 and momentum, I don't think my business would be at 2 million today. I really don't. I started the advanced pros and I saw people that I had trained in 3 years get to $1.5 million, or 4 years get to $1.5 million. I'm like, if they could do that as a newbie, why am I not doing it? Right? If I can coach them to get to $1.5 million, why can't I coach my team to get to $1.5 million without me stepping in and doing it for them? Right? It shifted my mindset, which was stuck. It was limited. I thought the $1 million was kind of the glass ceiling, unless you're in, a super dense metropolitan area like Manhattan and, New York City. It's like, I expect them to be $2-3 million. Well, I'm right here in the suburbs. I don't even go to Dallas. 30 minutes, 25 minutes from Dallas. I don't even go to Dallas. $2 million run rate, 620 clients, 626 clients as of yesterday. I saw yesterday's report, right? Isn't that crazy? Hello, my business is bigger than it was right before the pandemic. We had hit an all-time high at the end of 2019, started 2020 at an all-time high. And now my business is bigger than it was before the pandemic. If I can do it, you can do it. Right? So this is a mindset shift for all of us at every stage. I don't care how big your business is.